So, Joel, you actually brought to me an issue going on that I did not know a lot about. And I know a lot of people who are watching this and listening to it probably also don't know anything about an issue affecting scores of believers. And this is in an area that maybe people have also not heard of. It's Nagorno-Karabakh. And this is an area, let's just start with where is this? And tell us a little bit about sort of the geographic issues surrounding this area.
Right. So this is a mountainous region kind of in between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which are two countries that used to be in the Soviet Union. So it's kind of on this land bridge between Iran, Turkey, and Russia. So a very complicated part of the world and a very complicated name, Nagorno-Karabakh. Even I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but that's the typical English pronunciation of the region.
Yeah, you tripped me up with that when you sent it over. I'm like, this is really interesting. And what was so sad to me, though, in full disclosure, and I told you this before we began this segment today, I did not know, and I would imagine a lot of people don't know about what's happening in this area. You've got about 120,000 people affected by these events, and you noted, obviously, this region is complicated. We'll talk about this in a moment, but the added complication of Russia's role in sort of holding back some of the chaos there. They now have ignited chaos in Ukraine, and you have that war going on. So before we go there, talk a little bit about what dangers and what issues are unfolding for the people living there.
Mm-hmm. So this is a region, it's part of the historical homeland of the Armenian Christian people. The Armenians were the first people to convert to Christianity as a nation in the year 301 AD. And they've had lots of troubles ever since then. But when this land was part of the Soviet Union, the Russians put it inside the borders of this other country called Azerbaijan, pretty much designing problems to come down the line. And they were always discriminated against and marginalized within the borders of Azerbaijan. And when the Soviet Union broke up, they said, well, you know what? The Soviet Union's breaking up. They're the ones who put us in here. We don't want to be in Azerbaijan anymore. So they voted, the representatives voted, and they decided we want to be part of Armenia, the nearby country that has the same people, same language, same religion as them. And that started off a 25-year conflict now, 30-year conflict now, actually, where Azerbaijan has been trying to wipe these people out, essentially. That's been the response to the desire of Armenian Christians to be independent, to be free. They've said, well, then we just don't want you. We want the land, but we don't want you. So Azerbaijan tried to wipe out the Armenian Christians of Karabakh from 1988 to 1994, and they lost. And as a result, the Armenian Christians of Karabakh became a de facto independent state. And the conflict was kind of frozen there until 2020. So it wasn't fully resolved, but at least the Armenian Christians of Karabakh were free. They were in charge of their own destiny. They were ruling themselves. They were at peace. And then in 2020, Azerbaijan attacked again. And this time they won the war. It was a ferocious war. 7,000 people were killed in just 44 days. And wow. Some 35,000 Christians were driven out of their homes. And the Armenian Christians of Karabakh lost a lot of their land. And where we are today is that Azerbaijan has this region surrounded militarily, pretty much. And the only thing defending them is this small group of Russian peacekeepers. And as you say, this is not a good time to have Russia be your only protection.
Right.
That's where they find themselves.
I mean, imagine that conundrum. You're watching, whereas the rest of the world right now watching Russia and the assault on Ukraine. And here you have this other scenario where Russia was the force holding back the chaos for this group. Now, you've said this, but just to underscore this, you have a Muslim nation essentially attacking this Christian minority group in this area. I mean, this would seem to be a Christian persecution issue. I don't want to oversimplify, but would that be correct?
It is in the sense that this is a Christian people that stronger powers have decided should be destroyed, right? The government of Azerbaijan is secular, so it's not because they want to see Islam be victorious in the region necessarily, but they do see this distinct Christian population and they see them as a threat and they want to wipe them out. So at least for my organization, Christian Solidarity International, it's in our name, right? People are trying to wipe out our Christian brothers and sisters in a different part of the world. We want to be there for them. We want to support them.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. What has your organization, Christian Solidarity International, done? How have you been involved? I know I've seen quite a bit of writing and information that you've put out on this, thankfully, so that we could sit here and actually talk about it, and people can, like me, can be educated on it. But how have you been involved as an organization in this conflict?
So during the first war in the early 90s, this whole region, Nagorno-Karabakh, was under a blockade, and it was very hard to get medicine and food into the region. So CSI would actually rent helicopters and airplanes and fly in food and medicine to this region that was under siege. And we were also doing human rights reporting on the ground. We were the first organization to witness the aftermath of a massacre of about 45 Armenian Christian villagers in a village called Maraga in 1992. Since the war started again in 2020, we've been helping displaced people find housing, pay for heating, get supplies to start jobs in the places where they've been forced to flee to, usually inside the Republic of Armenia. And we also support a rehabilitation center, which is a state-of-the-art facility that helps people who've been wounded in the war and helps children with disabilities and other people with special needs. And it's right in the heart of Nagorno-Karabakh. It's called the Lady Cox Rehabilitation Center, named after our hero, Baroness Caroline Cox from the UK. But so we provide a lot of the funding for that rehabilitation center, which really is a sign of hope for the people of Karabakh, that even though things are so bad, even though they're under siege, even though their electricity is being cut off quite often, there's still a state-of-the-art facility where even the most marginalized people can go and get help. And we hope that's a sign of hope for them, at least.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible the work that you're doing there. Just so people understand, if Russia doesn't continue doing what they've been doing, which is holding back some of the chaos that's already been unfolding there, what happens to the people there? What's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is genocide. I mean, we've seen every time Azerbaijan has conquered territory that has Armenian civilians living on it, those civilians are either executed or taken hostage and never heard from again. During the last war, there was a video that Azerbaijani soldiers themselves made of themselves cutting off the head of a 69-year-old civilian who had just decided not to flee. He decided he wanted to stay with his house. He wanted to make sure his house was okay. They came and they just killed him. So it is really not possible for Armenians to live under Azerbaijani rule. So if Azerbaijan conquers this area, that's it. That's it for the Armenian people in this region. We've even seen in other areas that Azerbaijan has conquered that not just getting rid of the people, they get rid of every trace of Armenian history. So churches that are thousands of years old, cemeteries, carvings, inscriptions are just bulldozed, erased, as if they were never there. And as you say, the Russian peacekeeping force is really the only thing that's holding Azerbaijan back right now. The Azerbaijani military budget is something like 50 times bigger than Armenia's. I mean, it's just enormous. So, yeah.
Wow. It's unimaginable what these people are going through. And again, there's so many other things happening in the world. These things, they fly under the radar. People don't know about them. Even the Ukraine war has sort of fallen out of the headlines, right? I mean, so this is important for us to be talking about, for obviously for us to be praying for. If people want to help CSI, your organization, to help these people, how can they be involved? How can they assist you?
You can always make a donation to our efforts in Karabakh at our website. That's www.csi-usa.org. But it's also very important to recognize the U.S. has a role to play in this conflict. And we've kind of been on the sidelines for a long time, and we've let Russia take the leading role with really bad consequences for the Armenians of Karabakh. But the United States gives military aid to Azerbaijan. And the other country that helps Azerbaijan in its war against Karabakh is Turkey, which is a close military ally of the United States. So why is the United States silent on this? Why are they not calling the presidents of Turkey and Azerbaijan and saying, stop this? Why are they not drawing a red line, if you'll forgive the expression, around Nagorno-Karabakh? We should ask this of our leaders. There's actually a law passed by Congress that says that the United States should not give any military aid to Azerbaijan, but there's a provision for a waiver where the president can waive it if he says it's in the US's national security interests. And every president has waived it every year since 2002. What's up with that? Why are Christians not more angry about this?
Well, especially when you have a Christian population under duress and potentially, in a worst case scenario, under threat of being wiped out. These are the moments, and I would bet, because here we are talking about it and we know people don't know, that the pressure is not there because people are unaware, which is why these conversations are so important for us to have, so that we can be informed and we can then go to our leaders and either pressure them or urge them to take action, especially when we have leverage like that. I mean, that seems incredibly bizarre for us to be waiving that year after year when something like this is going on.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, listen, I really appreciate your time on this. Always love having you on. And we will send people over to CSI, Christian Solidarity International. So if they want to donate, they want to help. And of course, praying for all of those people involved. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much, Billy.